Hello everyone, in this class we are going to learn what is local variable in C programming, what is global variable in C programming, and how memory is allocated for local variable and global variable, and also we will learn how a memory block is allocated whenever we start execution of a program for that particular program. Clear? So let's start with local variable and global variable. So first of all, what is local variable? Local variable means whenever we declare any particular variable inside a block, at that time that particular variable is called a local variable for that particular block. Clear? Now, what is global variable? Global variable means a variable that is not declared inside any particular block. Now, so in both case, local variable and global variable, in both case we called a variable local or a variable is global with respect to where it is declared. That means whether it is declared inside a block or it is declared outside a block. Based on that thing we will call a variable is local or global variable. So the first question that comes is, what is called a block in case of C programming or any programming language? So look, whenever we write a set of instructions inside a open brace and a closing brace, at that time all of those instructions form a block. That means this is open brace, this is close brace. Now whatever we write inside this particular block, those collection of all those instructions form a block. Whatever we write inside this open brace and close brace, collection of all those instructions will form a block, and this particular open brace and from this particular open brace to this particular closing brace is called a particular block. Clear? Now whenever we define any variable inside such a block, at that time that particular variable is called local variable with respect to this particular block. What does it mean? Let's say this is open brace. Now inside this open brace we write integer x and then some other instructions are there. Now this form a block. This form a block. Now this particular variable x defined inside this particular block, that means with respect to this particular block, this variable is a local variable. Now what happened in this case? Let's say one block is there, we declare a variable outside this block, and within this block we declare another variable, then some other instructions are there. Now what happened? This is our block. So with respect to this particular block, this variable x defined outside the block, that means this variable will called as global variable and this particular variable will called local variable with respect to this particular block. Clear? So whenever the concept of local and global variable comes, at that time we need to take the decision with respect to a block. Clear? So next thing, let's take another example or another scenario. Let's say integer x outside any block or not defined within any block, then we have a block starts here. Then we declare a variable integer y. Let's say another block starts here. Now what happened? Inside this particular block we declare another variable integer z. Then some other instruction, then this block stop here, then this block stop here. Now look at here, in this case we have two blocks. We have two blocks. And this particular variable is not defined inside any of the blocks. That means this one is our global variable. Now come to this particular block. This particular block, let's give name as B1 and let's give name it B2. Now this B1 is outer block and then B2 is our inner block. Now what does it mean by outer block and inner block? Look, the block B2 defined inside the block B1. That's why with respect to B2, B1 is an outer block, and with respect to B1, B2 is a inner block. Now look, for B1 block, integer y declared inside this B1 block. That means with respect to this block B1, the variable y is a local variable with respect to B1 in B1. Now, and in B1, this x variable is a global variable. Look, with respect to B1, the variable defined outside the block. That means this particular variable x is global. X global with respect to B1 block. Now coming to the B2 block. Now inside B2 block we have one variable, that is z. Now this z variable is local with respect to this B2 block. Local with respect to B2 block. Now look at here, we have two more variable, those defined outside the B2 block. Now with respect to B2, the variable declared inside B2 is g. Only one variable declared inside B2 block. That means that particular variable g is local variable with respect to B2. But both x and y defined outside the block B2. That means with respect to B2 block, both x and y are global variable. So here x and y both global variable. Clear? Now this concept of block, where one block is defined inside some other block, is called nested block. Nested block. Clear? Now hope you understood the concept of global variable and local variable. Let's take one more scenario, like integer x, then block start, integer y, then this particular block ends here, next integer z, next one more block starts here. Let's say that block contains integer a. Now let's say we have one more block inside this particular block, and within this particular block we have another variable integer b. Now some other instruction may be here. Now so how many blocks are there? So here in this particular scenario, how many blocks we have? We have total 3 blocks. This one, let's say this one is B1 block, this one is our B2 block, and then this one is our B3 block. The first thing that comes here is B1 and B2 are independent block. B1 and B2 independent block. The next point is B2 and B3 are nested block. B2 and B3 nested block. And whenever the concept of nested block comes, at that time we will get one one block as outer block and other block as inner block. So in this particular case, here it is B1 and B2 and B3. So in this particular nested case, which one is our outermost block? Outer block is B2 and inner block is B3. So total how many variables are there? Total how many variables are there? Total X, Y, Z, A, B. Total we have 5 variables declared in this particular scenario. Now which one is a global variable and which one is local variable? And if a variable is local, then with respect to which block it is local variable? So let's start with block. How many blocks we have? We have 3 blocks, B1, then B2, then B3. Now with respect to these 3 blocks, we have local variable and then we will have global variable. Now coming to the block B1, with respect to B1, which variable is declared inside this B1 block? Inside this B1 block only Y variable is declared. That means for this B1 block, local variable will be only Y. Now with respect to B1, which variable will be the global variable? Now look, here 2 particular variable declared outside any block. One is X and other one is G, clear? But this particular Z variable is declared after the block B1. That means after this particular block B1, this particular variable Z is declared. That means even though it is a global variable, but with respect to block B1 it is not a global variable. It is a global variable with respect to all the blocks that are defined after this particular variable declaration statement. That means whatever variable declared after this statement or with respect to all the blocks, this particular variable will be a global variable. So whatever variable declared above a particular block, all the variables will be a global variable with respect to a given block. That means with respect to this B1 block, which variables are declared above this particular block? Only integer X is declared above of this particular block B1. That means with respect to block B1, only integer X is a global variable. So with respect to B1, only one global variable is there and that is X. Now coming to the next block B2, variables are declared inside B2. Inside B2 only one variable is declared, that is A, on integer A. That means A is the local variable with respect to this particular block B2. Now for global variable, which variables are declared above B2, those are not declared inside any block. So look at here, Y variable is defined above this block B2, but Y variable is defined inside the block B1. Clear? That means this one is a local variable. This one is not a global variable with respect to this particular block B2. Clear? Now coming to the B2 block, so Z and X, both the variables declared above this particular block B2, that means both of these variable is global variable with respect to block B2. That means with respect to B2 we have 2 global variable, one is X, other one is Z. To the third block, that is our B3 block. Now look, whenever we work with nested block at that time, innermost block can access all the variables that are declared outermost block. So this B3 block is declared inside B2 block. What does it mean? That means B3 block can access all the variables declared inside this B3 block as well as all the variables declared the outermost block, and in this particular case that is B2 block. That means B3 can access both variables of B2 as well as variables of B3. So this is possible only in case of nested block, but for two independent block that is not the scenario, that is not the case. Clear? So any independent block can't able to access variables declared within some other independent block. Clear? That's what happened in case of B2. This B1 and B2 are independent block. B1 can't access any variable declared inside B2 block, and B2 block also can't access any variable that are declared inside B1 block. Clear? Now coming to the B3 block. So what are the variables that declared inside B3 block? Inside B3 block only one variable is declared, that is B variable. So with respect to B3 block, this B block is a local variable. And which are the variables that B3 block can access? B3 block can access any variable that are global and any variable that are declared inside the outermost block. That means this B3 block is defined inside B2 block, and inside B2 block one variable is declared, that is A variable. That means B3 block able to access this A variable also, but this A variable is a global variable with respect to this B3 block. This variable A is a global variable with respect to this B3 block. Clear? Why it is global variable? Because the variable A is not declared inside the block B3. It is declared outside the block, but B3 can access it. B3 can work with the variable A, but with the variable A as a global variable of this particular block B3. Clear? So this A comes from outermost block. Now actual global variable. So what are the actual global variable that declared above B3 block? We have two global variable, integer x and integer z. That means with respect to B3 block, along with A, we also have two global variable, that is x and z. Now look at here. The variable A with respect to B is a local variable. The variable A with respect to block B3 is a global variable. This is one interesting point. The variable A is actually a local variable. Why? Because it is declared inside the block B2, but with respect to B3 block, this particular variable A is not declared inside B3 block. That's why it is behaved as global variable for block B3. Clear? So hope you understand the concept of local variable as well as the global variable.